All right, let's talk about something we all hear constantly. Seize the day, try new things, make a bucket list. But what if that whole idea is kind of wrong? What if the secret to a happy life isn't about chasing the new, but something else entirely? Today, we're going to explore a pretty wild idea. Maybe it's time to just quit your bucket list. This quote, this is really the heart of the whole thing. It came from a psychiatrist, a brilliant woman who used to be a trauma surgeon. She was looking at her own chest x-ray when she diagnosed her own fatal lung cancer. And when faced with the end, she didn't want Bali, she didn't want some grand adventure, she just wanted more of the simple, beautiful thing she already knew and loved. I mean, that really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? When it all comes down to it, what do we actually wish for? Is it really about checking off a bunch of boxes on a list? Or is it something much, much deeper than that? That's the big question we're going to unpack here. So first up, we've got to bust what we can call the bucket list myth. It's this idea that's everywhere about what we're supposed to want, what we're supposed to regret. But as it turns out, we might have it completely backward. You know the expectation, right? That we'll get old and be filled with regret for all the mountains we didn't climb or the countries we didn't see. But the reality? Well, the psychiatrist who shared that quote, he says his supervisor's only wish was for more time with her husband, her friends, and the simple things. Her reality was a powerful deep-down preference for the familiar. And this wasn't just a one-off thing. In all his years as a psychiatrist, he says he's never known a patient or friend facing the end of their life who had a bucket list. No way. In fact, a lot of the time, the real regret was about chasing all that novelty because it took time and energy away from the people and the moments that actually mattered. So, if our deepest, truest desire is actually for the familiar, then why do we feel this relentless pressure to chase new experiences all the time? Where does that come from? Let's dig into that. Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is this cultural idea we've all just kind of absorbed, that if you love your routine, you must be boring. You must be unimaginative. We worry that other people will judge us if we're not constantly posting about our latest, greatest adventure. But then you look at this, and it totally flips that script. Some of the most successful, creative, and dynamic people on the planet, they thrive on routine. I mean, Warren Buffett eats the same thing from McDonald's for breakfast every single day. For these folks, predictability isn't a weakness. It's their superpower. It's the foundation they build everything on. And this pressure to appear interesting is no joke. A study from 2002 found that people will literally, knowingly choose something they like less just to avoid being seen as narrow-minded by others. Think about that. We're sacrificing our own actual enjoyment just to look a certain way. That's wild. But get this, when we think no one's watching, our true nature comes out. A poll in the UK a few years back found that a staggering 77% of workers ate the exact same lunch every single day for 9 months straight. See, that's not about being boring. That's about knowing what you like and sticking with it. Okay, so we've got this outside social pressure pushing us toward the new, but this internal compass that points toward the familiar. To really understand this conflict, we need to look at what's going on inside our own brains. It's basically a tug of war. On one side, you have this ancient part of your brain that gets a kick out of novelty. Back in the caveman days, noticing something new could mean finding food or avoiding danger, so it gives you a little hit of dopamine. But on the other side of the rope is this deep psychological need for the comfort of what we already know. That's where we find a sense of safety and ultimately a sense of meaning. And this pull towards the familiar is backed by a super interesting psychological principle. It's called the mere exposure effect. Basically, it just means that we tend to like things more simply because we're around them a lot. In one study, people listened to a bunch of songs they'd never heard before. By the end, which ones did they like best? You guessed it, the ones they had heard over and over. It just grew on them. So, what do? Is novelty bad? Should we just stay home all the time? No, of course not. The key is to find a smarter way to think about it. We need to start using novelty as a tool to find what we love instead of chasing it like it's the goal itself. And research shows us exactly how to do that. It turns out the real magic, the sweet spot for happiness and meaning, happens when you pair novelty-seeking with persistence. The excitement of trying something new isn't the finish line. It's the starting line. It's the way you discover something that's actually worth sticking with. So you can think of it as a 3-step process. The golden rule of novelty. Step 1, explore. Absolutely, try new things, say yes.
But then comes the most important part. Step 2, identify what actually clicks for you, what feels genuinely good. And once you find it, step 3, you commit. You go deep. You go long. That's where the real reward is.
And that brings us right back to the beginning. If we start living this way, we can completely redefine what a bucket list is all about. It's not about collecting 1,000 shallow experiences. It's about deepening the few that really, truly matter.
So let me ask you this, and be really honest with yourself. Forget about climbing Everest. If you learned your time was short, what would you actually miss the most about the life you have right now? My guess is the answer isn't something brand new. It's probably one more. One last time throwing a baseball with your kids. One last swim in the ocean. One last movie night with the person you love. One last sunset. That's the stuff a meaningful life is built on. So in the end, maybe the whole goal isn't to create a giant to-do list for some far-off future. Maybe the best bucket list you could possibly have is simply recognizing and cherishing the beautiful, familiar life that you already love.